I want to bring in our guest. Bryan is a career Joint Special Operations Strategic Intelligence Officer for nearly 30 years. He specializes actually in politically sensitive and complex problems. He's now the chairman of Great Bull Rescue, does great work around the world, bringing Americans home. Also with us this morning, Iranian American, a vocal critic of the Iranian regime, board certified plastic surgeon, Dr. Sheila Nazarian. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here. So we wake up this morning, this New York Times article coming out with the headline suggesting that Iran is not going to agree to inspections of its damaged nuclear sites. Of course, that's critical. And then just minutes later, after that headline came out, the president was out with the Truth Social post that Alex mentioned in his reporting. This is the official transcript of that. Iran has fully and completely agreed to the highest level of nuclear inspections long into the future, he wrote. Infinity. This will ensure nuclear honesty, he said. And then he went on to say if they did not agree to this, there would be no further nuclear negotiations. But Bryan, we do wake up, the world wakes up confused again about Iran's intentions.
This should be expected. We should not, I remain sanguine and hopeful with the situation. At the end of the day, we need to remember that the Iranian regime and the Iranian government is famous for one thing, which is talking out of both sides of their mouth, not speaking with one voice, competing against each other, and lying through their teeth. So, this stuff is not making waffles or not making eclairs. This is very complicated stuff with a very complicated dynamic where an agreement is an agreement today may not be worth the paper it's printed on tomorrow, regardless of the power of the United States, regardless of all the pressure being brought to bear, regardless of our political situation, our political power, literally internal to Iran, it may not hold any water.
Yeah, the vice president, Dr. Nazarian, said yesterday Iran has agreed to IAEA inspectors to come in. Then today, Masoud Pezeshkian said no. There's no plan for IAEA to visit. So is this typical doublespeak we're getting? And is it frankly strategic?
Yeah, Sharon. Sorry.
Dr.
I think that, yes, I think that, I think it's worth a try. I think for the American people to want peace, want low gas prices, to have a limited appetite for war with Iran is completely legit. And I think it's a noble, maybe a little bit naive attempt at peace with this regime. But those of us who've lived in the neighborhood, those of us who've escaped from that neighborhood, really understand that the closer that we get to November elections, the more cards the Iranian regime will hold. And while, I wish there would be peace in the Middle East with this regime intact, I just don't believe it with my lived experience. And I don't think that even though 90% of our interests align with Israel's, that 10%, America first here and Israel first there, we cannot hold Israel's hand behind their back as they're trying to protect their northern border against Hezbollah, and put them into these talks when they're not even there. They don't have any interest in letting Hezbollah win or letting up on Hezbollah when they have been under bombardment for years from this terror proxy of Iran.
Yeah, you certainly understand Israel's position. Bryan, there was another part very striking from the president's Truth Social post. It was quite lengthy. This portion we pulled out. The money and or sanctions that the U.S. Treasury is releasing goes into escrow, controlled by the USA, and will be used for the purchase of food and medical supplies exclusively from the United States of America, including corn, wheat, soybeans from our great American farmers. That sounds like a pretty good deal, does it not?
Again, I think it sounds great. I think it makes us feel real good. But the reality is once things flow into Iran, at that point we lose control. And I'll give you a great example. Hezbollah, when we talk about Hezbollah, Iran doesn't control Hezbollah any more than we control Israel. So their interests are aligned. To the doctor's point, 90% of their interests are aligned, but that 10% is really important. Hezbollah themselves have rejected this agreement, and they're not part of it. Neither, just like Israel isn't. So both sides are kind of writing checks for each other that they can't cash. And now our answer is, well, don't worry, we're going to give them food, and that food comes from us. That helps our economy, and that's great. That's great for us. But at the end of the day, there's no way to know that those soybeans or grain or whatever aren't going to make their way into Tehran, hopefully to the people of Iran. 50-50, maybe yes, maybe no. And if no, well, where does it go? We still don't have total control over those assets. Yes, it's beneficial for us. That's great. But at the end of the day, there's other interests here.
Yeah, that is the hope and prayer, and it all, revolves around trust, of course. Dr. Nazarian, what worries you about the releasing of these tankers and oil money beginning to flow into Iran? We're not just talking about the soy and the wheat and those foodstuffs, but what about the money flowing into Iran?
Well, even with the food, Shannon, if we look at the other proxy of Iran, Hamas, what did they do with the food aid that was given to them that was supposed to go to the Palestinian people? What they did is they held on to it and they sold it to make money from the Palestinian people who are already hungry, right? So what makes you think Iran, their teacher, their benefactor, is not going to do the same thing? And with the oil money, listen to what they said. They came out immediately and said, as soon as we have money, we are going to rearm and refund our terror proxies. They said it themselves. Believe them.
Yeah, for sure. And the traffic is moving. Watch groups who watch the number of tankers pass are reporting a steady increase so far. This is marine traffic data coming out of the region. Iran is still mandating, Bryan, that all the commercial ships and tankers transiting the strait, that they register with their government. And they're calling it the newly established Persian Gulf and Strait Authority, and that you have to submit in order to move your tanker through. That sounds like a toll to me, Bryan.
Yeah, in England, they would call this a quackerwadger, a political puppet, right? The Strait of Hormuz and the tolls and the fees and all this stuff has become the kind of the puppet of this whole thing. The reality is ships can move. It's very common for ships to pay a toll going through different places. That happens in other places, so that's not weird. The idea they're setting up a new thing. This is all just posturing, is a way for them to kind of have leverage, have a talking point. Oh my God, the strait's open. Oh my God, it's closed. It was before, it's now not. All these things. At the end of the day, this is about dollars and cents, and we have to make sure it is imperative for this deal to work and for the leverage and for our power to be powerful, to be able to use that power, that we can control money, resources, and assets. We have got to keep the Iranian regime controlled and under our thumbs so that we can modulate it, turn it off, and punish it when needed without military force, hopefully, without punishing the people. At the end of the day, to the doctor's point, the regime is going to take this money and probably use it for nefarious purposes. They very publicly talk about it. So why would we believe them? It doesn't matter if you the people, the United Fraternal Brotherhood or the National Association of Oil Taxes in Iran. Who cares what it's called? At the end of the day, this is about money, and we have to be able to control that money and control commerce and control the economy, and we need to control that, not the bad guys.
Yeah, and Dr. Nazarian, you just said, when they say something, believe them, because they mean it, especially when it's nefarious. And they've said, very clearly, they intend to control the strait.
Yeah, and I think of the Panama Canal, which we were just visiting them. They built that canal. That is not a naturally appearing waterway that they're just saying now it's ours. Like, I don't think that's going to fly, Shannon. And again, it's just so frustrating. The Iranian people, all the neighbors, our Arab neighbors that are good actors, they're all so frustrated by Iran and lies. And just the other day, Shannon, they were still chanting death to Israel, death to America. They won't stop. They are a cancer in the region. And I totally understand, the Americans' lack of appetite for war in this region. I totally get that. But unfortunately, we're grateful to President Trump. He's done more than any other president against this horrific, filthy, murderous, genocidal regime. But there's still murders happening every day. They're still executing dissidents every single day, and young, beautiful people in Iran. And that just, if that just tells me this regime has not changed. They're still chanting death to America. They're still trying to get IRGC members through the Canadian border and through the FIFA soccer team, to America to threaten us. If Americans think this threat is gone and it's not here and it's not coming for you, unfortunately, that's not their stated goal, and they'll never stop.
Many have suggested the Iranian soccer team handpicked by the IRGC. Let's not forget. Meanwhile, Bryan, the Secretary of State is headed to the region. He'll be in UAE tonight, and he'll be visiting Bahrain and Kuwait as well. What can these partners do? What should they be doing? How can we see them step up? I mean, they've taken incoming. They've been bombed. By now, would you like to see a stronger hand being played by our Gulf partners right now and our allies?
Yeah, it's delicate. We need to ask them to be, Secretary of State Rubio has been called a maverick, and I'm his biggest fan. I think Secretary Rubio has done a beautiful job in all these different conflicts. I think that what he needs to do is unite everybody and get everybody on the same page, get everyone on the same team, and all be saying the same thing. There is absolute strength in numbers. The key to this problem is isolate Iran, and not isolate Iran, isolate the regime so that they're paralyzed. The problem is that where they're not strong is in conventional conflict. Where they're very strong is in the asymmetric fight, propaganda, assassinations, hostages, cyber, all those other things, which frankly leave everyone vulnerable. The only solution to that is to be strong, united, and they've suffered. Whoever thought that Dubai would be under attack? I never did in my career.
It's been shocking to watch. Bryan Stern, Dr. Sheila Nazarian, great perspective and analysis. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.